here's problem 17, and you're given x minus 2y equals 4. The question asks, or what you're being asked to do, is find the x and y intercepts. Alright, so when you're looking at a line, so here's my coordinate plane here, I can go ahead and draw a line right now. I'm going to get my protractor out and connect these dots here. You do need to think about what the words actually mean. X and y intercept. Alright? What is a y-intercept? The y-intercept is where this line crosses the y-axis. Right there, at one point. That's where it crosses the y-axis. That's what a y-intercept is. This line intercepts the y-axis at a point right there. That's the intercept, okay? And the x-coordinate for a y-intercept is always 0. The y can be different, but the x-coordinate for any point on this line, the x-coordinate is always going to be 0. It's always going to be 0. Now, when you think about the x-intercept, okay, the x-intercept is where this line intercepts the x-axis, right? This line crosses the x-axis at one point, right there. And for the x-intercept, because think about it, like no matter where a line crosses this x-axis, the y will always have to be 0. If it's on the x-axis, the y is always going to be 0 for the x-intercept. So you'll always have x and then some number. Now what that means is we're coming back to the problem, alright? 17. Let's say I want to find the x-intercept first. Well, I know something about x-intercepts. I know that for an x-intercept, y is always 0. Okay? Always. So what I can do now is I can use this information to find out what the x-coordinate is going to be. Right? So I take y equals 0, and I'm going to plug that 0 in for y. So I've got x minus 2 times 0 equals 4, right? Minus 2 times 0 is just 0. So this turns into x equals 4. Not the answer, right? This is not the answer. That's the x-coordinate of the x-intercept. The answer is going to be 4, 0. I have found the x-intercept. How did I find it? Well, I know something about x-intercepts. They talk about where lines cross the x-axis, and I know that the y is always 0 for that. It's always 0. Now, I'm going to rewrite the equation here, and we're going to look for the y-intercept. Now remember, I know something about y-intercepts. I know them from this cool graph that I drew right here. I said, okay, I know that the x is always 0 for a y-intercept. That's always going to be true. So if I want to find the y-coordinate, I do the same thing I did up here. I take this 0, because I know y-intercepts, x is always 0. Plug it in for x there. Now here to solve for y, I didn't have to do this for x, but to solve for y, I'm going to have to do a little algebra here. I'm going to have to divide, right? Because what I have essentially here is we can drop the 0, and that's like negative 2y equals 4. And solve that for y, right? You just divide both sides by negative 2, and I would get y equals negative 2. Again, not the answer. Not the answer. The answer is a coordinate. Now, is it going to be negative 2, 0? No. It's not going to be that. because this is the y-intercept. The x is 0 for the y-intercept. So the answer is 0, negative 2. Now that's the hardest part of the problem, in my opinion. Because now all you have to do is get your coordinate plane. And I've got my 2 points here. I've got my point 4, 0. So let me rewrite it. That's the y-intercept is 4, 0. And then I found it was 0, negative 2 for the x-intercept. Okay. All I have to do now is graph those intercepts, right? So, 4, 0, that's going to be over here, 4. Hold on, I'm having trouble there. There we go. 4, 0, there's my x-intercept. Sorry, I think I might have called that the y-intercept. That's the x-intercept, sorry, x-intercept. And then the y-intercept is 0, negative 2. So that's down right there. And now you take your protractor, your ruler, whatever. I can draw a line. Through those 2 points, there's my graph. Okay, let's take a look at one more from this block. Let's take a look at one that's written in a different form. So 21, we have the equation x equals 2y minus 3. But it's still the same question. Now this is where people freak out because they think, okay, well this does not look like problem 17. And you're right, problem 17 was in standard form. This is not standard form. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. When you're finding the x and y intercepts, you can use whatever form they give you because, again, you have that information. I know that for the x-intercept, the y is always 0. And that's all I need to know. Because now I can come to this equation and say, okay, if I want to solve the x-coordinate, I plug in 0 for y. And now I can just solve that expression. Well, 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Again, not the answer. Not the answer. The answer is going to be negative 3, 0. That's the x-intercept. Okay, now, again, for the y-intercept, I know something about the y-intercept. The x is always 0 for the y-intercept. Always. So I come back to the equation there. I got x equals 2y minus 3. I plug in a 0 for y. Okay, so I got x equals 2. Oh, sorry. Plug in a 0 for x. Plug in a 0 for x. My mistake. 0 equals 2y minus 3. Here we're going to have to do a little algebra I didn't have to do last time, right? To find y, I'm going to have to move the 3 over to this side, right? So I get 3 equals 2y. And then I'm going to have to divide both sides by 2. So here we're going to end up with a fraction, and that's okay. It's going to be 3 over 2. Again, not the answer. The answer is going to end up being 0, 3 over 2 for my y-intercept. For the y-intercept, the x is always 0. And again, you would just take these two, and I think you guys can do this part. So now I've got my 2 intercepts. There's an x-intercept. There's a y-intercept. And I would just plot them and graph.